Hey everybody, this is Russ Jones, your California State Naturalist. I am currently on a 2-day backpacking trip from Groveland to Hetch Hetchy Reservoir via Lake Eleanor in the north part of the Tuolumne Canyon Basin. Right now I'll be going through some areas that where the rim fire burned heavily. we're going to see a lot of down logs and snags, and also a lot of ceanothus growing back to put nitrogen back into the soil. So we're going to see the difference between logged areas or salvage logged areas and naturally regenerating areas. Currently at 3,300 feet, the rim fire burned through here with a high intensity. If you can take a look around here, all of the trees there's 100% mortality in the trees. Lots of snags. So the primary understory is bear clover, or some people call mountain misery. This is a hot area, dry area. This is south facing. So let's see what conifer regeneration we have going on here. Now on a south facing slope where it is hot and dry, you will see Ponderosa Pines primarily only, and you're also going to have manzanita, buckbrush, which is a ceanothus, bringing nitrogen back into the soil. We have lots of bear clover here. Again, I'm not seeing any conifer regeneration. Is that because the ponderosa seeds burned so hot, as the Forest Service says, and they can't regenerate? Or is the density of Ponderosa pines too small here? Are the conditions not good for ponderosa regeneration? How many saplings are underneath these shrubs? I don't know, although I know ponderosa pines do like direct sun to be established. Anything else? I think that's about it for now. Okay, so here's a ponderosa pine. It's about 7 feet tall, so that'd be about a foot per year since the rim fire. And this is located in a sunny area. This is the kind of place I'd expect to find a ponderosa pine. Now, the Forest Service says that the ceanothus must be ripped out so that ponderosa pines can be replanted to establish a forest ecology again. Do they grow faster if they're replanted and the shrubs are ripped out? Yeah. Is density higher? It could be. The question really is, would we rather have this ceanothus heal the soil and heal the ground and then have ponderosa saplings come up? Or should we rip them out? And I'm going to say that we should not rip them out. Now here's also a little ponderosa pine about 4 feet tall. One last thing I wanted to add is this. These ponderosa pines here grew at some point. They started growing at some point, and they would have started growing at some point probably after the last mega fire that came through here. I don't know when that would be. So that begs the question, well, this is a hot, dry area. It will be shrubby. So how do these ponderosa pines regenerate if there were shrubs? We have a little conifer area here. There isn't much growth. It's actually popping out of disturbed areas where there's European weeds, and also an area where there's just bear clover. And these conifers look to be about, I don't know, maybe 3 feet to maybe about 7 feet. Okay, here we see an area where tractors came through and the shrubs were removed. The logs that would have brought nutrients back into the soil, they have been removed. Lots of slash on the ground. You also have European weeds coming through, and this is not good. Wind can rush through here, and the fire could spread through here fairly. I don't know how easy, but it's not a good situation here overall. And then over here we see a little ponderosa pine that is popping up in an area that was logged. Let me come over here to this area. This area down here was not logged, although you can see the tracks of the tractor that came through here. So let's take a look here. And again, this area isn't logged here. And look at this. What do we have here? We have like a 9-foot ponderosa pine there, 7 foot, 9 foot, 7, 9. It's all around us. And the question I really have to ask is, would there have been more Ponderosa pines growing right there had, these logs not been put into piles and tractors go through there and now weeds go through there? So my hypothesis is that you're going to get natural regeneration of Ponderosa pines, healthy regeneration because the shrubs are left there, which is bringing nutrients back into the soil, and you're going to get very little generation in these areas right here. And more Ponderosa pine regeneration on the east side of this road that I'm traveling. Okay, I've been bushwhacking for about an hour and a half. This is a high intensity area, the rimfire, 100% tree mortality. There's lots of buckbrush. I mean, I'm going through lots and lots of shrubs here. And whenever I come to an open patch, I've been seeing Ponderosa pine regrowth. So let me show you what I mean. Okay, so far what I observe is that most of the Ponderosa pine regrowth is occurring in areas where there's not a lot of ceanothus. And I just bushwhacked through a large area. Ceanothus, didn't see much pine. In fact, the places where I see the pine the most is actually along the roads, which I would expect because that's disturbed soil, and things may be constantly, since things are along roads are constantly being pushed away by tractors, I'd expect there to be more open areas in this area, and that's where I find the Ponderosa pines, along the roads. Okay, so what I'm seeing a lot of is Ponderosa pine saplings along the roads that have been disturbed before. There's lots of European weeds here, grasses, lots of manzanita as well. I typically see the Ponderosa pines growing between the manzanita. Okay, now where do I see no growth? I see no growth where the shrubs are ripped out and salvage logging occurred. Although the places where the shrubs were ripped out tended to be ceanothus, I think, and I only saw a little bit of regeneration under the ceanothus anyways. So, if you don't get much regeneration on either, why rip the shrubs out? You're still going to restore the soil, which will allow for Ponderosa pines to grow back anyways. You're going to get nothing on these salvage logged areas unless they're replanted. And who's going to replant them? And secondarily, how's that soil going to get restored? And thirdly, you have all these native grasses growing now, which will allow a fire to rush through that area really fast. This is the first area I've seen that was salvage logged and the shrubs removed. And I see a lot of Ponderosa pines popping up. I haven't seen that before on any area where the shrubs were removed. So perhaps that is an area where trees were replanted. I don't know. I'll have to look at some records. Okay, right now I'm I'm west of Granite Creek. This was a high intensity rimfire burned area. There's been a lot of salvage logging going on, a lot of replanting of Ponderosa pines. I even saw a few giant sequoias planted, which was a nice little touch. There is a patch up there that was not burned, and the point I'm making is that just because on a map you see that it is mostly high intensity, there will be patches that are going to have been low intensity without tree mortality or little tree mortality. That's important because you're going to have a lot of animals living in that little area there, and they're going to go hunting in this area around them. Now the problem is that when you take out all the shrubs, what happens is the animals don't have a place to hunt anymore. So effectively, this area becomes a place where animals are not going to thrive.